Parker never expected to feel a spark of love with an 18-year-old beautiful girl. He used to sit in the garden every day, trying to reignite his creativity for his new writing. But now, his burning passion for writing seemed lost, as his mind kept filling with Rita's image. Even the slightest touch from her would make him smile involuntarily. One day, while Parker was deeply engrossed in his work, Rita suddenly appeared beside him. Perhaps it was her innocent age, but without hesitation, she sat in his lap. Her pure, enchanting smile seemed to awaken a hidden fire in Parker's heart. When he tried to approach Kalita, her mother took her away. In the days that followed, Rita became even more unrestrained. Even when the bacon ran out at breakfast, Parker didn't care, as Rita's presence had completely weakened him. Rita's mother was also drawn to Parker, but her love had no effect on his heart. It felt as though the three of them were talking together, but Parker's attention was solely on Rita. This situation sparked jealousy in her mother. In a fit of anger, she snatched Rita's doll and threw it away, telling her to go upstairs and sleep. But Rita neither went upstairs nor obeyed her. She stubbornly shook her body while her mother stood nearby, uncomfortably scolding her. Her attempts to stop Parker's gaze failed. The mother felt this couldn't go on much longer and decided to send Rita to a boarding school in the city. Rita was reluctant but couldn't go against her mother's wishes. When Parker found out, he ran to the window, hoping to catch Rita's gaze. As soon as Rita saw him, she ran toward him. Her breath quickened as she reached his arms and melted into his embrace. It was a sudden, emotional moment that overwhelmed them both. Furious, Parker stormed into Rita's closet. After Rita left, her mother saw an opportunity to express her love for Parker. She said, "If you're not here when I return, I'll assume you've left me. But if I find you here when I come back, I'll become your life partner and stay with you forever." To get closer to Rita, Parker accepted her mother's love. Over time, they became husband and wife and started living together. However, Parker could never truly accept her mother's love. Even when they shared the same bed, he would force her to take medication to ensure she didn't react. Carefully, she would lie on the edge of the bed. One day, her mother accidentally discovered one of Parker's secrets. "Stay away from me, or I'll scream," she said, pointing to the window. "Let me go. I'm leaving this house tonight. I don't care about this place anymore." Parker's diary was filled with disdainful words about her mother and loving memories of Rita. After reading it, she decided to take Rita with her to calm her emotions. She picked up a glass of 1982 red wine. Just then, the phone rang. Someone informed her that her mother had died in a severe car accident. When Parker arrived at the scene, he saw her lying motionless on the ground. Outwardly, he tried to appear grief-stricken and desperate so the police wouldn't suspect anything. But inside, his heart had already flown elsewhere. That day, he went to Rita's school. Seeing her after so long made him incredibly happy. But when Rita asked about her mother, Parker lied, saying her parents were hospitalized due to illness. He lovingly removed Rita's socks and told her he had booked a separate room for her. The night grew deep, but Parker couldn't sleep. He quietly went to Rita's room and saw she was already asleep. He carefully laid down beside her. Hearing Rita toss and turn, Parker barely made it through the night. The next day, Parker took Rita to see her mother. Slowly, Rita began to realize something serious had happened to her mother. Eventually, Parker told her the truth. Her mother had passed away. After a long period of grief, Rita went to Parker's room. Like a child who had made a mistake, she lay in his lap. Perhaps only this man could bring a little warmth to her world at this moment. To comfort Rita, Parker decided to take her on a trip around the world. During this joyful journey, Rita almost forgot the pain of losing her mother. The sweet girl often joked around with Parker, and he never got angry. He showed her fatherly affection. In this atmosphere of laughter and happiness, they traveled from one city to another. Over time, Rita began to feel exhausted and indifferent. She grew tired of being tied to Parker every day, like a caged bird with no freedom. Parker also sensed Rita's sadness and helped her find a school. But he didn't realize that once a caged bird is set free, it doesn't return. When Rita learned she could go to school, she was overjoyed. At school, she met an attractive senior from the drama club. She began to feel something was wrong, and her control over the situation grew. She met with the school principal and discussed expelling Rita. When Rita found out, a heated argument broke out between them. "Hit me first, like you hit my mother," Rita shouted. "I'm telling you, hit me." When Parker found Rita, she was happily talking on the phone with a stranger. When Parker questioned her, Rita casually explained it was just a school friend. Parker didn't think much of it, but he didn't realize that once distance is created, it's impossible to bridge it again. To keep Rita close, Parker planned another long trip. On the way, Parker noticed a white car following them. After losing the car on a winding road, they stopped for fuel. Parker saw Rita talking to a stranger. When Parker approached, the stranger disappeared. Filled with suspicion and anger, Parker slapped Rita again. Over time, Parker's love slowly became distorted. He began to restrict Rita from going out, even locking her in her room. One day, when Parker returned home with groceries, he saw an unbelievable scene: Rita sitting in disheveled clothes. This sight shocked Parker deeply. This forbidden love shook him to his core. He asked Rita who the man was, but she said nothing. nothing. Driven by obsession and anger, Parker took Rita on another long journey, during which she caught a cold. Parker rushed her to the hospital. The next day, when Parker went to visit her, the staff told him her uncle had taken her away. Parker knew Rita had no uncle. Enraged, he argued with the doctor. Just like that, Rita suddenly disappeared from Parker's world. For the next few months, Parker tried everything to find her, but there was no trace of Rita. Time passed, and 3 years went by. Parker was still drowning in the pain of losing Rita. Then one day, he received a letter from her. It said she was now married, but her life was full of hardships. She begged Parker to send her some money. 3 years later, when Parker saw Rita again, she wasn't the same. Her face no longer had the same glow. Instead, it bore the marks of time and struggle. Parker asked why she had left him. She said she was very young at the time and thought she had found the right partner for her life. But in the end, she realized he was a madman who played with girls. She ran away and married her current husband. But Parker begged Rita to come back with him. Rita asked if she wouldn't get the money if she didn't return. Parker immediately handed over all his savings. Rita, as always, tried to escape the situation. Parker understood he couldn't hold on to someone who always lived in their own world. At that moment, she just wanted to leave as quickly as possible. The girl, who had once again become lively and sweet, decided to do something for Rita. She tracked down the man who had played with Rita and shot him. Then, she got into her old car and drove aimlessly until she stopped at the small town where Rita was born, the place where their love had begun. Parker's heart was completely broken. He wasn't sad that Rita was no longer with him, but that her laughter and voice were missing from these happy moments. True love requires respect and understanding, not control and possession. When love becomes a bond, it loses its essence, leaving only pain and regret.